greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian. And
I am who I am.
he is who he is. He says it every week. Mr. Keith Cheatham over there. He's getting everything set up.
Ted Braxton.
Turd Ferguson.
Turd Ferguson.
Turd
is no longer
Ferguson.
with us.
I can't hear myself.
He's no longer with
Oh
us.
my God.
What
did
now
you
you
do?
can. Now you can.
No, I can't.
Uh-oh, he can't
Oh, well,
hear
then that's your
himself.
headphones,
I can
bud.
hear you all.
Well, he did. You have to
Yeah,
adjust.
you have to
Turned
adjust
all
it
the way
there.
up. I don't know. Okay.
It's all
Well,
the
yeah,
way-
yeah, yeah.
there we
Yeah,
go.
he adjusted these
It's
on us
low.
too.
It's low.
It's just a little low.
He likes
that's
to
all.
mess with us, so I gotta turn mine up too.
And
There
I
we
didn't
go.
start our slider. So, Sean, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you reach over and just hit the big knob?
Oh
and
my
just-
goodness!
Just press it.
he wasn't prepared
And
this
then press
week.
it one more time. Because then it should start.
I'm gonna
there
take
it
you out
goes.
back.
Oh.
See, now it's moving. Look at it.
Take you out back and beat you with a
See, I can
Gonna have to.
wooden spoon.
I tried to do, well, we had a little bit of an interruption because
We had some
right,
hiccups.
right
It's
before we
working.
went live, Facebook gave us a message saying it was interrupted. But
Yeah.
is it
it's,
back?
it's working. Yeah.
Okay, so all of our Facebook viewers out there and YouTube land and everybody, Keith's adjusting some settings. I had to adjust the soundboard a little bit this week. We were a little low.
Trying to make it more professional.
I
understand.
it's like, why do you have all this fancy equipment and you can barely hear us? You got to crank it up in the car or crank it up on your sound system at home, and then you go to another Don't you hate that?
Yes.
You're sitting there, you adjust the sound for one video, and I mean, this is a YouTube problem in general. And then you go to another video, and it's either really soft or really loud, and it's like, oh, it's so annoying.
He's trying to make it uniform.
Absolutely.
He loves us and he hates us.
At the same time. I mean, but no, I mentioned it right off the top there, and honestly, our last headline, which I wasn't even going to speak of this week because, well, it was right there in
You
the.
still don't have to. I don't know why. I mean, it's
well,
not very
I'm not going
important.
to. It's not important, and then I feel disappointed that I didn't replace it with the late breaking news we got just a few hours ago, which was that yes, Norm Macdonald passed away at the age of 61, very very young.
Yeah.
An amazing, hilarious talent.
Yeah.
From SNL, was kind of ousted
SNL
from the
classic,
show.
yeah.
Yeah.
he was lambasted and for not agreeing with, I guess, I forget who the lead executive producer is on that.
Michael Lorne?
Is it Lorne Michaels?
Or Lorne Michaels.
That's what it is, Lorne Michaels. But no, it's funny because obviously iconic characters like Turd Ferguson or the Weekend Update.
Burt Reynolds.
Reynolds,
Yeah.
Burt
Yeah.
Reynolds.
Who was
Yep.
Turd Ferguson.
Well,
but
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
love
Why are you
it.
wearing a big hat? That's funny.
Yeah. Yes. I was telling him, I mean, and I didn't realize he was that old because, I mean, it's not that much older than Adam Sandler, but I still
Yeah.
thought he was right there around.
We were
'cause Adam
talking
Sandler's
about
55.
talking
'cause-
about Billy Madison.
Yeah,
and-
because he was in a lot of movies with
With
a lot of the
Adam
SNL
Sandler, yeah.
crew, Adam Sandler,
Yeah.
Rob Schneider. So I was just kind of like, wow, I thought he was like
Dirty,
right there
Dirty
at their
Deeds.
age.
That wasn't a bad movie. It was
No,
his own.
no.
Oh, it
movie.
was?
It wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, I'm not. I
It was
don't. I've
pretty
never
funny,
seen that
actually.
movie. I'll have to check. What circa is that? Is circa like 1990 or 80s? That
It
had
was
to be
definitely
90s.
it was definitely the
80s?
late 90s, maybe 2000.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah, Dirty-
well, then
Dirty
it was.
Deeds.
Yeah, that was on the
Or
tail
Dirty
end
Work. That was what it was called. Dirty Work.
Because truth be told, he
It
really
was
didn't.
based on the AC/DC song "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap."
Okay.
Like they let people pay them.
1998.
98. Yeah.
98.
Okay, I was right. Late 90s. Yeah, this people pay him to like toilet paper people's houses and poison their dogs, and
They had a lot of like really fun like celebrity, like just not big roles, but like Don Rickles, John Goodman, like they were just random
sprinkled
characters.
throughout the
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because he really didn't make any huge comeback. I mean, honestly, he didn't late in his life either.
Once he had,
until,
but that's what happens in Hollywood when you have a falling out with the Hollywood elite.
Yep.
They
Right.
just
You
they
get
well, they
blacklisted.
try.
Yeah.
They try, but that's what
Yeah.
I loved about Norm Macdonald is because he had the lasting legacy of this really dry, weird humor.
He
I mean,
did.
he had
great
his
dry
own
humor.
strange
Yep.
brand of humor, but that was what made it iconic. He would go on these late night shows, and it was hilarious because you didn't know what you were going to get,
Yep.
and it was funny. And that's why people loved him, and they would constantly have to bring him back because no matter how much they tried to cancel him, he still was,
can't-
relevant.
You
Yep.
couldn't do Celebrity Jeopardy on SNL without him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's like yes, Will Ferrell as Alex
Yeah.
Trebek was important, but I mean, he was one of him and I forget the guy that played Sean Connery. They were always they were the two go-tos. Everybody and they were. It's hilarious.
But, sad to hear of his passing. Apparently it was from cancer, a battle with cancer he had fought for many years, that he kept out of the public eye.
Yeah.
Much like Chadwick Boseman kept
yeah.
his health ills out of the public eye.
It's always crazy when you hear about I do respect these people because it's like that's how you know that they're not in it just for all the fame, because I feel like there's a lot of people that if something happens they immediately have to make like the public aware of their health battles, and these people were very personal. It wasn't like he's trying to flaunt this or get attention for it, because it is a serious
and
ailment
I would
and
even
disease,
say a lot of it too is the fact that I think it proves to a lot of people out there who, like you said, are seeking that attention. These people who die with some kind of dignity and honor by just not announcing. For one, it's a private matter, but two, they also don't feel like, I've got to get some more credibility or more, spotlight on my name or my fame because I'm struggling through this. It's like no, they struggle through it, and that's what makes them honorable, is because they don't complain about it. Like so much in so many celebrities in Hollywood do. But
True.
Sad passing, but we got a great show nonetheless for everybody out there in YouTube and Facebook land.
I saw an amazing movie this weekend.
Gosh.
Oh my God.
It's an amazing
here we go.
movie.
I
I'm
thought-
so
I
excited
thought you
to
were
discuss
serious,
about
too.
it. I am serious.
Yeah.
I did. I saw Hunt for the Wilder People by Taika Waititi.
There you
and
go.
It was an amazing movie.
I
And
haven't watched that
and
yet.
I suggest
wish I did.
everybody oh yes, you should definitely watch that. It's much better. It's not the movie we reviewed. I led Sean on to believe
Unfortunately.
I was speaking of we reviewed *Malignant*, and you might already have some of our feelings. But I did lead Sean on to believe the whole time I was talking about that movie. But no, the good movie I watched this weekend was *Hunt for the Wilder People*.
I watched the trailer while you were right after you recorded the review,
Yeah, yeah.
and I must say I'm very much looking forward to this film. Now.
I was intrigued when I just scrolled over it on Netflix. It's been on Netflix for over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I scrolled over it, and it started in on the trailer, and I was like, "Is that Sam Neill?"
Yep.
And then I started watching the trailer, and I was like, "Man, this actually looks pretty good."
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
It's one of those films that I just never.
I never
I've
heard
said
of
this
it.
before. There's so much crap on Netflix. I get sidetracked. Like
Yeah.
I see something I want to watch, and I'll add it to my list, but then I end up watching something else. Procrastination.
It doesn't have the emotional gut punch of like Jojo Rabbit.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely. I told Brandon I could see how he went like after doing Thor Ragnarok, because this was before that.
Yeah.
I could see how he did Hunt for the Wilder People, and then like his next original project, how it would evolve into something like Jojo Rabbit to have even more emotional impact while having the bizarre humor. Like it is really well done.
I was gonna say I'm looking forward to it for that reason, just because of knowing Taika Waititi and what he
Yeah.
can pull off, but also it's just Sam Neill with the
He's definitely like,
is
I
it
think-
New Zealand?
well, he's from
Australia?
New Zealand,
but
Sam
that's what I'm
Neill
saying.
is,
With
yeah.
his accent, I was not expecting it for some weird reason. I never knew.
The whole movie takes place in New Zealand, and all of the actors in it are from New Zealand. But it was really, really good. I was just surprised, and Sam Neill is definitely, I think, the best part of it. Him and the I forget the kid's name from Deadpool.
What I think is funny
I
is
looked it
that
up
we're
last night,
talking
but they're
more
really
about
good.
this
He's also
movie.
from New Zealand or Australia.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was
too.
in Christmas Chronicles too.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Well,
was the
Taika
mean elf.
Waititi's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like as I said, but literally like all of them. I was like, oh, so he went full.
Rice Darby, he's in it.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
which is
I think it's Reese
Reese
Darby.
Darby, Reese Darby, yeah.
It's spelled RHYS.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird, but it's. Yeah.
I'm Americanizing it.
There's a Viggo Mortensen film that's I think it's on streaming that I've passed up 3 or 4 times called Captain Fantastic. I just had to look it up.
I'll check that
But if you
out.
watch the trailer for that, you'll want to see it too.
I'll have
Okay,
to
all
is
right.
it on Netflix?
It's on one of
Okay.
it's either Netflix or Amazon.
I
It's
mean,
on
with
there.
him, I was looking for stuff to watch, and I went through Netflix and literally just started adding a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
to my list.
Yeah.
So I could finally check it out. And
I
Hunt for the Wilder
have
People was
this
one of them.
strange feeling that all these movies we're talking about are going to be much better and worth our
Than
time.
what
I mean,
We're
we're
than what we
avoiding.
reviewed.
Yeah.
We're avoiding getting into it.
we tend to do that.
We're at the 10-minute. Well, this time we're kind of we're at the 10-minute mark though. So I guess we
Let's
should
do
let
it.
people know.
Let's just get it over with.
Yeah.
Let's
Rip
rip
off
off
the
the
Band-Aid.
Band-Aid.
Yep.
You owe me a Coke, Jinx.
What's scary is we went through the whole rip off the Band-Aid. Yep. Like we.
We know. I've been married too long, guys, even before it was legal.
Yeah.
All right, here is our review of Malignant.
Malignant, the latest film from modern horror master James Wan, has released to little fanfare for a movie from the director that brought us films such as Insidious, The Conjuring, Furious 7, and Aquaman. For a director with such high-profile works, why was Malignant released with minimal marketing and hype? The answer is that unlike Wan's previous works, Malignant is not very good. In fact, it's not good at all. Starring Annabelle Wallis as Madison, a woman raised by an adoptive family and stuck in an abusive relationship, when a series of murders begin all revolving around Madison and linking to her being the possible killer. The horror really begins to unfold as Madison learns the truth about her past, her adoption, and Gabriel, a childhood imaginary friend somehow connected to the murders. Malignant is an interesting premise to say the least, and is not the story it initially sells itself as. The movie wastes no time in diving into bizarre territory that is almost comedic, if it wasn't also trying to be so serious. Setting itself up at times to be the haunted tale or demonic entity style story Wan has made a name for himself doing, the film takes a hard left turn, only to keep bouncing back and forth between something serious and ominous and something bizarre enough to be at home in old pulp horror magazines. In fact, it was this style of horror I had hoped Wan was going for as the movie progressed. The type of dark comedy that became Tales from the Crypt. And while the film does offer some completely off-the-wall moments, Wan never goes all in, creating scenes that you aren't sure are supposed to be serious or intentionally goofy. The horror is non-existent throughout the film, which is a shame as Wan is one of the rare directors capable of making actually scary films nowadays. Wan has shown plenty of times in his career that he's fond of camp and pulls it off well in films such as Aquaman. A blend of Wan's campy humor with his horror sensibilities could have made for a modern-day dark comedy that could have been enjoyably bizarre, yet humorous and scary, much like the original Gremlins. Instead, the only time we see Wan go all in is at the film's climax when it's too late to salvage the film. One could give James Wan props for trying something different, I suppose, but even then, there's not much about the story that hasn't been done better in other horror tales. Add poor writing and acting and you have a film that could have been great B-horror schlock, but ends up as a waste of time and potential. I don't know what James Wan intended, but what we received was garbage. I give Malignant 1.5 out of 4 stars.
Amen, brother. Not so good at all. 1.5 out of 4 stars.
Actually, I talked to you about it too, and I told
bad.
Sean over there. There are parts of it that, because I from other James Wan films, I can tell like he likes doing some campy stuff. Something like Aquaman's full of it, but it's funny and well done.
Yeah.
And I told Sean, I was like, I could almost see that certain moments of this movie, if he went full like pulp horror, like Tales from the Crypt, this movie could have been hilarious and would have been good that way. Mm-hmm. But that's not what he was going for.
No.
So I was just because like the prison scene, I was like, it was terrible. Like, but I was sitting there watching that, and as
Have
soon
you ever
as
seen a prison cell that big?
a holding cell, yeah.
That big?
Yeah, it's a
Well,
holding cell.
I was gonna
a
say
football field.
Well, but it's for. I wouldn't say it was a little dramatic.
They'll throw like 20 people in a holding cell before
Yeah.
It
so-
usually is a little bit more cramped.
Yeah.
I think
When they start kicking her and stuff, I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
dude, this is stupid.
know.
Ghostbusters
Orange is
had
the
a
new
realistic.
black is better than this.
Ghostbusters had a realistic holding cell. There was like 30 people cramped in
Yes.
that little bitty cell. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was watching this, and I'm like, as soon as like, and I'm gonna spoil stuff because I don't care.
It's the movie
You don't
is
need to watch it.
spoiled. It's rotten.
As soon as like Gabriel, which is her parasitic twin,
Right.
She had a conjoined twin that was attached to the back of her
Dude,
head. As soon as it starts busting out of the back of her head, though, I was
Yeah.
like, I sat
I
up.
laughed.
I did. I sat up because I actually like legit got excited at how bad it was going to get. I sat up and I was like, oh yes, do it, and it went over the top.
Yep.
And I was like, if he had just made this whole movie over the top stupid,
Yep.
I would have enjoyed it more. But I was just like, this is it was bad.
that's the funny thing you say over the top because that's Sean. You said it in a string of texts.
literally,
we were going back
if
and
the
forth.
movie-
It was. I thought throughout most of the film, I was like, this is a lake movie.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
is how bad this
Yes.
is. And
Get
because
drunk
of scenes,
or high and watch this movie.
Yeah, well, and it was funny because you brought that up, and I'm sitting here thinking that the parts that were supposed to be serious were so bad you couldn't take them serious,
That's what
and
I'm
then
saying.
the over the top moments were so ridiculously awesome. It would have been that much better had you been drunk or high.
There were two scenes in the movie. One of them is the prison cell. The other one is when she is out in the she's like out in the room with all the detectives' desks.
Yeah, she's in the actual...
And they do this ultra-wide lens.
Yes.
And it's all CG. Everything she's doing is CG, and it looked
cutting
pathetic.
off arms and stabbing stuff.
Yes, it looked so pathetic.
It was one of those things, I watched it, and I was like, I actually think I would have liked this movie if he just would have went full batshit crazy with it. But but he didn't.
No.
Like it was one of those weird things. I was like, I can't tell. Like,
and even as you were talking
everything
to
was
me about
like so serious, and I'm like, this is
I hate to compare it to Cabin in the Woods because that's a good movie. But Cabin in the Woods is a good movie because it embraces the fact
camp.
that it's just supposed to be campy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it goes all out
when you
campy
get
with that.
to the scene,
it goes like it makes fun of the Evil Dead.
Well, yeah,
and
the
it makes fun
horror
of a lot
tropes,
of,
yeah.
And I'm like, that was a good movie.
That's actually a perfect
This is
example
terrible.
for what this movie could have been. Because the scene, the jail cell scene in this is as dumb as it was and as fun as it could have been. Like, comparing that to the scene in Cabin in the Woods where like they finally get into the facility and all the elevators open and all the like creatures just come flooding out. It's like that just blew my. I loved that moment in that movie, and like that, this could have been that, but it's nowhere close.
Well, and they try to build you up to it with some of the things that lead you through that, but there. Again, it was so disjointed in the story that it wanted to tell, and the way it wanted to.
There
Dude,
was like
as soon as it
different...
revealed Great Gabriel,
I
laughed out loud.
I
was like, they can't expect me to take this seriously.
No.
But it wasn't because of the ridiculous. I mean, it was like what's the movie where the thing comes out of the butt? Bad Milo.
Bad
Milo.
Yes.
That was hilarious in its design and exactly what
Yep.
it was supposed to convey.
Yep.
This did not build it that way.
No.
This did a terrible job of making you think it should be a horror suspense mixed with all these comedic
that's
elements.
the exact type of movie I thought this should have been. Something like Bad Milo or Cabin in the Woods. Just something that embraces pulp horror that's supposed to be schlocky, but still well done. This was it was too much on the nose. Like he wanted this to be a serious movie, and it's not.
It took too many just completely off the wall turns. Like I'm watching this movie. Like I said, it took me 2 tries to get through it. I watched about an hour of it the first night and was like, I can't. I got to turn this off. I turned it off and started watching Ted Lasso, the new episode of Ted Lasso.
It's just better.
But I watched it the second night to finish it because that's, sometimes we have to sacrifice for the show. And I understand that. So I finished it. But I mean, throughout the entire both nights, I'm watching this movie. I got my phone in my hand and I'm Facebooking and looking at everything else, playing a game here and there. Like I'm not in this at all. Like it's completely zapped me.
Yeah.
And every time I would look up, which was often, I was like, I'm not going to miss the movie. I want to know what's going on. But every time I would look up, I'm like, where are they? Where did they? A minute ago they were in the street. Now they're in a dank boiler room like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And then they go through. Then it goes from the city, and they drive through a tunnel and come out on this road that looks to a castle that looks like freaking Hogwarts. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not an insane asylum. That's Gotham City.
Yeah.
Like that's
that's Arkham
what the hell
Asylum.
is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was just like, what is this? Where did we go? When did we get here?
Even her
20 seconds
reaction and like the way the camera like zooms in on her face, she goes, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
like,
like
oh
it
my
pans
God.
out, and then like even the scene where she drives up. For one, I don't know how it was like she was on the road to it, and it went from midday to like midnight.
Yes.
In the flash of a
Yes.
scene, and then she drives up to the edge of like a cliff. And then walks around this like building and is like, oh, there's a fence here to get in.
Right.
And it's like it was terrible CGI.
Yeah.
It was terrible the way it was done. There, like you explained in the police academy or whatever it is, where they're fighting and they're I don't know.
Police
I don't
academy.
know.
It's the police station.
The police station. I'm using like these Resident Evil terms. But it's like they're in the police station and these terrible wide angles. Like that was probably a huge part of the movie was the way in which certain scenes were shot were just not the best angles. They weren't the best way to present, what they were trying to convey. It was just terrible from top
when
to bottom.
when they're showing her surgery, when they're showing them try to remove. Oh my God!
Yeah.
When they're showing that whole thing, and the doctor is doing the monologue, and she's just like, and we had to remove as much of it as we could, and they're pulling hands and eyeballs and rib cages and everything out of her back, and then sewing her back up. I'm like, this is like the human centipede.
Yeah.
Like it's scientifically, anatomically, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
And then they put her skull back on, like they take that chunk of skull and like
couldn't get
shove
it all.
they shove its face down in her head,
Yeah.
and put the skull back on there. Like we couldn't get it all, so we shoved what we could back in there. And I'm just like,
you only have
this is-
so much room in your skull.
your brain. For your brain.
And for her to live the rest of her life
Yeah.
and just hear it as a
and that was the
a
other
voice
thing.
in
Like,
her head.
Oh my
even the
God.
exaggerated moments with regard to the story that I thought, again, they just weren't played up in the right way to be campy enough to make me laugh or enjoy it.
No.
The part where their boyfriend at the beginning I thought was over exaggerated.
throwing her into the wall.
It's so terrible.
Well, they had to wake it up somehow.
Yeah.
That was another problem I told Brandon had about, though, is like they never actually explain like just like the reveal about like why she had the miscarriages. Like none of that was built up to, or she just laid
it was devouring
It's
your
like-
your
it was-
fetuses so that it could come back.
And I'm like,
like,
okay, what? Yeah, they just would drop these random facts like, oh, this is obvious. It's like, no, like you just pulled that out of your ass. Like,
and
that's the whole movie was pulled out of somebody's ass.
It really
like
was.
It was like they wrote that on the toilet, literally.
That's what it sounded like. And then they shit out of
It's
Gabriel.
like, I'm taking a
and
dump.
they were
I
like,
got this
oh,
great
this is
idea
perfect.
for a movie.
That'll be its name.
Yeah.
it was just I will give it one prop only. And I did. Brandon actually told me he liked the same scene. I did love when she's going through the house.
Yes.
That was actually well done. That was the only part of the movie where it has the aerial view and it's going room from room and then she goes up the steps.
okay. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's like that was
was awesome.
one good piece of cinematography that
Yep.
felt like something from James Wan, and the rest of the movie was garbage.
Well, and
Yeah.
I even told him,
So-
I said the part where she gets home immediately after the whole incident of being in the hospital with the boyfriend, and she's like, no, I want to be here by myself. Okay, typical horror trope.
Yep.
But then she gets out of the shower and hears something, and then she runs downstairs and she locks the door, and I'm like, you're in the home alone
Yes.
after you've been. Why would you?
The
you
noise
have the
came from
doors-
inside of the house.
Why would you have
leave
the
the
doors
house.
unlocked?
That
makes
that's
no
another
sense.
point. Yeah, I agree with you because I saw
Stupid.
that and I was like, you just believed someone came into your house, killed your husband, and attacked you. So you left your door unlocked.
While
and
you
then,
were in
like
the
you
shower.
said, she goes and closes the back door.
Yes.
Hears noises in the house, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just run? Like, I would
Why wouldn't you run out the back?
Yeah, I'm like, if I
Yes.
heard noises in my house while I was locking my back door, I would just go out the back door, call the
Bye.
cops, and keep
Yeah.
going.
Okay, and this is
Yeah.
another trope that I hated too, and it's beginning to piss me off because it's so cliche. But it's like they didn't even, and even if you had a dumb reason, I could have at least rolled my eyes and said, of course. You know, it wasn't like, oh, we're moving to a new town and this was the only house available in our price range.
Right.
But it's like it's this gothic style
Yeah.
house
Yep.
with this old decor and terrible wallpaper just to
It's
fit the
my
horror
home.
vibe.
Yeah.
And they don't even have any reason to be
I
there.
thought the same
No.
thing. I was
There's
thinking,
no
like the
reason.
Texas Chainsaw
it's
Massacre
these
house.
these two people in this massive house. I'm like, why are they? Like, even if they were trying to build a
Yes.
family, it's
Yeah.
like, why would they have this huge gothic house with just two people?
Yes.
I thought the same thing. I was like,
This
don't
makes
make
no
any
sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's how I felt like the first season of American Horror Story. They move into that that big, way
I
oversized.
think part of that was they were trying
house.
to flip the
but
house.
but
wasn't it?
again,
Yeah.
yes, that was the idea was they're going to go and buy this cheap property that something happened in,
Yep.
and they're going to flip it, and then I'm
You
like,
didn't even get
Well,
that
and even-
excuse.
even
in
in
this.
like-
no,
I would
and the
say
terrible
even-
lines. Oh my god, dude! I'm telling you right now, I almost woke my family up laughing when the detective, the female detective, says. We need to put out a bolo for Sloth from the Goonies.
Yes, I did laugh at
That
that. I
got
like
me.
that.
I was just like, this is so terrible. Everything that came out of her mouth was
terrible.
just
Well,
ridiculous.
I told
Yeah,
him,
it
and
was
he said
terrible.
the same thing. Like the morgue scene with the sucker. They're talking about and he's like, okay, abusive husband. I forget the second line, but I was like, that's all you needed to connect the fact that okay, now she's a suspect. But she goes,
Yeah.
abusive husband, something. Motive and throws the sucker in her
Yeah.
mouth. I was like, okay, we didn't need. I was like, anybody
Yeah.
who knows anything about crime, like
Well-
procedural shows or
Yeah.
movies, would know that's all you need for a motive. We didn't have to have her point out. Now we have a motive. She's a suspect. It's like that was
Well,
already
actually,
obvious.
Yeah,
you
that was a CSI line.
Yeah,
It was.
Yeah.
But what I love though is it perfectly illustrates exactly what I think we've encompassed in all of our critiques. And that is the problem with this film is not that it goes back to James Wan wasn't fully committed. And the problem is for a movie to play off on camp, you have to understand and respect the
Well, I don't
tropes.
even think that's what he was going. I don't
No.
I don't know.
I wish
I think
that's
he was
what he
trying
was
to
going
make a
don't
for.
legitimate
know.
horror movie.
because I've seen reviews online that have said that
They
it was
praised the
campy
camp.
enough.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here thinking, no, because when we were talking about it as you were hashing out your review, and you kept bringing up points, and I was like, but if this had happened, that would have made it better.
Yes.
And on every point, we were like, yeah, that's true. So it was like, at the end of the day, you can't give a movie so much leeway for all the things it gets wrong without saying it's just a bad movie. And so much of this, I think, was James Wan not truly understanding, respecting, or loving the tropes of horror films enough to truly just dive all in. He wanted to create
At
this
least
weird
that style of horror. When it comes to like haunted and demonic possession type horror, he's really good at that. He understands like those
Well,
slow scares.
Okay, but even then, he literally, it was like he combined like The Conjuring with
Saw.
a little bit of Insidious and Saw in there.
Every time that music played and she's
was
up in the
terrible.
attic, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was thinking the same.
It's
I
like you
was
started getting this
he's gonna
weird,
do
like
a
grunge
Well,
music.
what's really funny was like the whole scene again, that big wide angle shot. Where no, the scene in the prison cell. That's where like she literally it makes the sound of cracking bones.
Yeah.
Like her body is turning
Contorting.
backwards,
Distorting,
but
yeah.
it doesn't.
no,
Her-
everything walks. Gabriel
she walks
backwards, yeah.
but her knees don't flip backwards. Her elbows and arms never flipped backwards.
No,
they go
yeah.
or whatever.
But
and
then
it's
they
like-
don't
They
reorient.
don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean,
He
they
still
didn't
reaches
change
behind him, yeah.
but the arms were
Yeah.
still like if I was reaching
Yeah.
behind me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is stupid. Then it turned into a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
When she's flipping and jumping around,
Hey,
parkour
Gabriel's
and breaking
powerful,
necks.
man.
That was just stupid.
It's
It
her
was.
body. She can lift that bed too.
Gabriel's voice. That
I love Gabriel's
voice
voice.
got me too.
every time he talked on the radio, and it was just,
When
I was just
I like the interrogation scene when he calls. It's like he wants to speak to you. Ask her what she calls me.
Yeah.
Devil.
well, I'm sorry.
Oh my God, the dog's
It
upset.
always
She got
molests you.
excited.
She
every-
don't
Yeah.
like that noise. She
She
don't like
just
that
gets-
voice.
She don't like Gabriel's voice.
She was upset about Gabriel.
Yeah.
That's not what I call her.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know why she answered to that.
No.
It just it was very poorly
But it was
done.
scenes like that immediately, that's the response I had was, this is a Lake movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
would
camcorder
laugh.
scenes. The camcorder
Yes.
scenes.
Oh,
When
yeah.
the dad is sitting there recording her talking about the baby and all that stuff, I'm like,
Yes.
I would have took that kid to the woodshed and beat the crap out of them. I'd have been like, you don't talk
Well,
about
or
your
get
unborn
the hell out of my
brother."
house.
Exactly.
It's like, you wake up-
up,
you yet.
You wake up like his wife, like
With the
she wakes up
knife?
pregnant with the knife hanging over. It's
No.
like you're going back
I
to
would
the orphanage.
love my kid, but they would be going to the Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
I would take them
Well,
there.
they had to act. It's like okay,
That's
you're
why she
threatening
was
my
there. I
actual.
I know, but I
yeah.
would have done it a lot sooner.
It
That was just stupid. He like zooms in while she's talking to herself and stuff, and I'm just like,
Well,
I
I
would
love
have put the camera down and been like,
they let her get through the whole conversation,
Yes.
and then he's just like,
what?
what? What were you talking about, dear?
It's like you heard the whole thing.
I was like, you just heard
recorded
it.
the whole thing.
And then I love how she sits there. It's like obvious that she's in his peripheral vision,
Yeah.
and then she looks up like, I wasn't talking to anybody. It's like, come on.
I know.
Seriously? Again, it's one of those movies where once you find one fault, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
And it's just one right after
Well, you
the
don't
other.
have to look for
No,
them. They're
one-
all just
1
right
minute
there.
in, and the dominoes start falling.
That's true. It's very true. Terrible movie.
I'm
looking forward to our next
disguise
review.
itself. Like that's
Yes.
what bothered me is at the beginning he tries to make you think it's going to be like the Conjuring supernatural, like when the husband's being haunted and like you see the couch cushion lift up, which still doesn't make sense to me. It's like okay, if it's her the whole time, it's not going to lift up 5
Yeah.
minutes after she got off the couch.
Exactly.
Right.
That's stupid. But
Yeah.
they try to trick you into thinking
Yes.
it's going to be one of those type of movies that he's made previously. So that he can have this whole pull the rug out from under you, and be like surprise, but it's like it's not a good surprise, man.
And
Like
there
it's a
were
terrible
cool
movie.
features. There were like these moments, like I did like when she was kind of in a moment of stasis and she couldn't move, and then like the scene starts ripping apart and changing around.
Yeah.
It was
That's
a
a good
cool
visual,
effect.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a cool effect, way overused and took way too long. It's like I get what you're going for here,
Yeah.
but you didn't have to do it in such a dramatic fashion.
Well, once you know
Were you
why
all-
it's happening, they didn't have to keep doing it for like a 30-second, like
Yes.
every time. It's like, okay, we already know it's the transition between him taking over and her. Like,
Were
Yeah.
you all
have to-
surprised at all when the lady falls through the ceiling and
No.
you reveal
No.
that they're in her attic the whole
I
time?
thought it was incredibly stupid that they keep focusing on this damn like fan, which I don't know.
Yeah.
What house has a giant
attic fan like that?
Like that. There's no doubt.
You could see that from outside.
Yes.
Here's
like
the
that
thing.
They
was-
never show you the back of the house though.
No house has that because that's how you let like squirrels like that. You're gonna have. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
they'd get chopped up in the fan.
That fan's not going 24/7.
But I'm
Something's
saying
getting in
all
her
that
attic.
stuff going on up in the attic,
Yeah.
and those people downstairs
Yes, don't
couldn't
hear nothing.
Yeah.
They don't hear the woman rustling around.
trying to get out, walking around. Yeah, it's
And then like even when the woman gets captured and she's like she's plugging in the lights and can't get to it fast enough, and it's
I
just
hated
like
that
you
scene too.
said.
The song,
Yeah,
like,
why would you run out of that
Why?
place again?
Why would you
Why
run
would you
towards
run
it?
towards the
Everything
light to
goes-
turn it on?
everything
It's like,
goes
if I turn the light on,
dark.
everything will go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no. you
all the
get
lights
your
are
butt
out.
out of there.
You hear something in the dark and you walk towards. Like if I hear something in the dark, I'm not walking towards it.
No.
What's that?
And I mean, it looks like the creature was made
They were
out
just-
of like something they
they
baked in
were
the oven,
horror
and then they
movie
just
cliches.
splattered blood, like
Oh,
fake
yeah.
blood all over.
Hey, that's
it
a
looked,
good-
looked
yeah.
terrible.
the creepy
No.
crawler oven.
Something like
Peter
Bad
Jackson,
Taste?
I would say,
Yes.
did a better job with Bad Taste.
Yes, the masks that were made in the oven. Heck yeah.
he did a way better job. All
I,
right,
want-
guys.
I still want him to make a sequel to that. He keeps joking he's going to make like a big budget sequel just for the heck of it. I'm
That
like,
would be.
But again,
Do it.
embracing
Yes.
what embracing what
Yeah.
it was originally meant to be.
Yep.
You know, it would, and we would probably love it.
And there's just no heart. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why the movies like Cabin in the Woods and whatnot play off is because if the heart isn't with the characters, it's with the theme of the movie.
Well, you could see
and there
the
just isn't
genuine,
there.
like with Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, it's like a satire of these horror movie tropes, but that you could see that. You could tell Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, who made that movie, love horror movies because you could see that in the movie. Yes, it's making fun of it, but it comes from that place of loving it. And it's like with this, like you said, you could tell.
Well, Scream goes that way.
Yeah, Scream goes that way.
is a good example of
with,
that.
Wes
Yeah.
Craven, and it's
Yeah.
like you could tell these people actually
the god
know
of
and
horror.
love horror.
Yeah, and he makes a movie that basically makes fun of all
Yeah.
of his other movies.
Yes. Yep.
And then you get James Wan, and it's like, I don't know what he was going for with this. I feel like he was contracted to make a movie with Warner Brothers, and he's like, here's what you get.
No, I really do feel like, I mean, we get, look, we've seen a plethora of his style through
Yeah.
Furious 7 and through The Conjuring and
Even Aquaman.
Aquaman,
which isn't
I mean,
horror. but-
Aquaman's
yeah.
good.
And it's funny because it's like we've seen these different styles and we know, like, I will say, like, as weird as it was, the street chase, like, he does action really well and he does a good job of pacing it out and building tension through that and showing you different, like, that was the best part of the film in terms of, you know, it kept my attention and I at least kind of wanted to see where it was.
It only
where
kept
would
my
go.
attention because it was like, okay, they went from the street into a building, into a cellar, into a dungeon, under the ground, into an abandoned
Yeah.
this or that.
I
Then they
know.
go into the carriage house.
It's like a
And I'm
Gothic
like,
style. I was
What in
like,
the
what
world?
is
Where are they?
this?
That's another moment where I looked up and I was like, where'd all these carriages come from?
Well, because that
Like,
goes
Well, that's
back.
the
that
Seattle
yeah,
Underground, yeah,
exactly.
which is real.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand that, but it was just that was just stupid.
Well, even that chase, like, and you had mentioned it, like, could have been even creepier. Like, with the arms being backwards and stuff and the way he's climbing down the fire escape, I'm like, that could have been actually really creepy. Instead, it just looks goofy. I'm like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
could have done
again,
like an exorcist
by the
going
way
down
it
the
wa-
stairs.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was all because of the way it was shot.
Yeah.
And it was just very poor choices. Alrighty, guys.
Yeah.
We've bashed this movie enough.
I think we have.
1.5 out of 4 stars.
we can
for
move
Malignant.
on.
It definitely will give you
Yeah.
cancer. So don't
Yeah.
watch this film.
But there's hope. Next week we'll be reviewing
Cry Macho.
Cry Macho,
Oh, I
Clint
am-
Eastwood's new
I am
film.
looking forward to that.
That is also available on HBO Max.
It will be.
And in theaters. I think it's limited theater though. I don't know if it's wide.
I think it
release.
is. I think
Yeah.
it is.
I'd have to look that up. I may be mistaken, but we'll be reviewing Cry Macho for next week. So this was supposed to be or I guess the next big release, and it launched at 3 at the box office.
Oh, it's stuck. Yeah, it was abysmal at the box office. In fact, Shang-Chi still reigned supreme, broke records and maintaining the highest second week at the box office. So
I just set you up. I'm hoping you'll take it.
Let's do it.
yeah,
hoping
let's
you'll take
get
it.
into there.
All right, let's get into those headlines. Let's roll that big beautiful footage.
You can't handle the truth. You're gonna need a bigger motion.
That was my scatting.
That was just like Malignant.
Yeah.
You
You don't
it
ever
was
know what's going on.
No.
Crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Makes no sense.
No, not at all.
Hilarious.
No.
No.
Our
Malignant
headline-
could have been
our
hilarious.
headline makes
it
sense,
was
though.
funny in a bad way.
It does because we were just kind of bringing it up, talking about the Shang-Chi.
Yeah, the weekend box office surprised me. I was pulling up the link.
While,
I was trying to pull up the
surprising
link.
because you
It's
alluded
not
to Shang-Chi
surprising.
being number 1 again, but also the fact that number 2 is Free Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Malignant opened at number 3, which is pretty abysmal. Because
terrible.
again, we're still talking COVID numbers.
Yep.
These are not great numbers.
here's
and
the
even
thing.
Jungle Cruise held out in the top 5. And these are all those 3 movies right there that we just named,
Are all
apart
older.
from Malignant, is Disney.
Yeah.
Now,
They're all Disney movies.
here's the thing, and I don't think it would have mattered for Malignant either way, whether it was theatrical only or theatrical plus streaming like it is. Free Guy and Shang-Chi both are still theater only. So I do think that is helping them. But at the same time, I think the fact that they're both good movies is also helping them.
helping too.
yeah, that's true.
Like,
too.
even if Malignant was theatrical only, I still feel like it would not have beaten Shang-Chi or Free Guy at
They
the box
mentioned in the
office.
article that the cinema score for Malignant is a C grade, which
It's
does
not even
not
that good.
It's that
Yeah.
no, for a cinema score that's terrible.
That is bad. But I
Because
still think it's
usually
that
most
even that
people
high.
are a little bit more generous, especially when you walk out of a movie you just paid for.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, that was decent. But-
Audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like 51. It
Yeah.
has a 70-something from critics because critics are stupid.
Oh no, we just don't
Yeah.
understand, guys. We just don't get it.
We don't
There's
understand
something
the
we don't
brilliant
get.
campiness. It's like, no, I understand brilliant campiness. That's all the movies we mentioned that are brilliantly campy,
Right.
not this
Yeah.
one.
And I have a feeling this is what our woke culture is doing to us. Is it's rapidly like deteriorating our ability for puns and things that have nuance. We just don't have that capability
You
anymore.
can't make
We just don't have it.
not to spoil anything, but I mean, when you watch the trailer for Hunt for the Wilder People, and even that joke in that, the fat joke they make, like that would be you can't do that.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't make
Yeah.
fun
Yeah,
of
in the trailer
it's so
itself.
hilarious.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it
want to
was-
say anything because I don't want Sean to be spoiled. It is hilarious.
I saw the trailer. I know what
Okay,
you're talking
okay.
about. But
But,
yeah.
well, and I don't want to
Well,
spoil
there's more
it for
than
those.
just that joke. So
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for viewers out there who would want to check it out or who may
that
have
one,
already checked it out.
I'll spoil Malignant because you don't need to watch it, but you should watch Hunt for the Wilder People.
It's like
Just the
anytime we
name.
have a movie that's going to be a bad review, we always have other movies that we suggest people watch.
I mean,
It's like, go watch this instead.
Just
it's
don't
our
waste
our
your time.
repentance. It's like, all right, we're sorry we
Yeah.
made you watch this and hear us talk
Yeah.
about it. You'll enjoy this much better. But no, so to continue on, the fact that Disney right now is controlling 80% of the
Yeah.
box office, it now forced them to come, not forced them, but happily they came out and said, hey, for the rest of this year, our slate of movies will be theatrical for 45 days only.
I think it's a good model. I think that's what they should do. 45 days in theaters, then to Disney Plus. You get to see it in theaters if you want to.
And I think you still have to
If
pay
you're-
the premium
Yeah,
you do.
after the
Yeah.
45 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that I'm
Because
kinda
Jungle
like,
Cruise is now on the video on
Wow.
demand. It's still making money in theaters, but it's also available for rental.
Well, that one aired theater and Disney Plus.
I don't think it
same
did.
time. Yeah, because I got a screener.
Yeah.
Same weekend we saw it.
Right.
So it was on
Yeah.
Disney.
I
Plus.
didn't see that in theaters.
Oh,
but-
It was a Disney
I
Plus.
forgot y'all watched the screener of that.
No, me
Okay.
and you saw it in theaters. He saw
I know,
the
but I'm
screener.
just I didn't know we got a Red Moon screener for that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways,
that's how my sister watched it.
Huh.
But
don't
yeah,
condone that.
it's one of those things where I do think it's smarter. I think they'll make more money that way because you're definitely gonna get the people that want or an adamant to see it right away in theaters. The ones who are still terrified to go to theaters, they can suck it up and wait 45 days. I've seen some people complain about that, but hey, you choose not to go to the theater, wait your 45 days. I don't know what to tell you.
again, I put it in the headlines
Or
at the
get a
beginning of the
screener.
show. I think this just again fuels the fire that ScarJo's been stroking.
Yeah.
And that sounds
Yeah, that
terrible.
was
I should've
Poor choice of words on that
Yeah, she can stroke my fire.
one. Yeah.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
Isn't it stoke the fire, not stroke
Yeah,
the
it
fire?
is.
Stoke it.
It's-
Stoke it. You
I-
don't stroke
I-
it. If you
look,
stroke it, you get burned.
I Bidened
you know?
it. Okay, I Bidened it. I'm sorry.
Don't stroke the fire.
I can't help
You
it.
had a stroke.
No, if you Bidened it, we wouldn't even know what you really meant. It's like I really knew what you meant. It's like I was stroking the ice on that one. It's like what?
But no, I agree. I think it does.
Yeah, I think we found out who wrote *Malignant*.
That's a good point.
But no, all right.
It does legitimize, I think, her lawsuit and the fact that she's saying if they had honored her contract and done theater only, she would have walked away with a bigger portion than what she got.
Yep.
And again, it's not so much the greed about the money and the fact that they broke that contract. So
Yeah. And it's funny because they were even talking about how with Shang-Chi being at the number one spot still, considering it's a less drop off with the other movies that have come out from Disney so far, and especially considering it was a Labor Day weekend, which was already a huge opening weekend for that holiday for any movie. And so I think it's interesting to see that they're pivoting now. Their experiment is playing off, I guess is the best way to put it. But I think it's kind of sad that it's like they didn't either have the faith. Again, I say it's sad. I get it's a business. You got to make money off these movies when they're multi-million-dollar contracts and movies that are budgets for these
But Disney's going to get their money either. In fact, that was and I don't think he was trying to make a dig at Disney, but I mean, he brought up a really good point. Benedict Cumberbatch, when they asked him about, when they asked him about the lawsuit, he said, it's an ugly situation. He said, but Disney, and again, I don't think he was trying to make a dig, but it sounded that way. He was like, Disney makes their billions, and it's just us trying to figure out contractually how we get a piece of, because they can't do it without the actors, the directors. It's like he's like, but they're going to get their billions, and it's just us trying to figure out with
how we're going to get our
new
millions.
Models. It's like basically. But I mean, it was one of those things where he was honest, and I appreciated it. It was actually one of the first quotes I've seen about it where someone was just straight-faced, like not trying to dodge the question. He was just like, look.
And I don't think anybody would argue that. I think that's why most people do come out on the side of it's not that people don't think ScarJo isn't paid enough. And most people, if you were to talk to somebody on the street who had no idea and explain it, the first thing they would say is, doesn't she get paid enough?
Yeah. Most people,
that's the first thing they would say.
The average person really does think she's being greedy. And it's like, it's not about the greediness as much as Disney broke a contract. And it's like, that's the problem.
She made, what, 20
million?
20, yeah, 20,
or around
21,
20.
Is
What Disney outed at. It's like, that was unprofessional too, to just be like, well, look, she made 20 million.
Yeah. Well, how many times do you see that though?
That a company just outs how much they paid them?
It's hard to Google how much money an actor made in a film. Like it
is, but
not easy
I
to find
think
that info.
Some are, I guess, easier than others because they always do that ranking, which I don't know if that's just by estimates.
They will with
most.
like with Robert Downey Jr. in Marvel, but again, they'll be like, he in total made this much based on this percentage, but it's not something that Disney
a lot of it
releases themselves.
True, and it's also based on like a lot of, I think, deals associated with the film or with like appearances and how to promote and whatnot. I don't know. It's like because most of it is depending on whether or not you have a hard financial like outset of here's what you're going to make for this picture or here's a percentage of the ticket sales, like for instance in ScarJo's case. But I don't know. I'm just think it's funny that now we again about a month and a half
this way,
since the original lawsuit was filed, and it's like they're controlling 80% of the box office. We've already had Paramount come out last week and say we're pushing everything back to next year.
And I think doesn't even have as much competition.
That's what I'm saying. Disney is there. They have their movies out this year. They're not pushing it back another year or two, and not only that, but they own everything. I mean, it's like every movie is made under their brand. So.
And when it comes to like Marvel and how they release and schedule movies, they can't really keep pushing those off the same way because it pushes everything off. So at some point they had to figure out, how are we going to make this money? And now that Shang-Chi's shown, especially with it being a character nobody knows, mainstream audiences, it's like, okay, well, with movies that people are even more hyped for, like Eternals and Spider-Man, it's like, well, no-brainer. If Shang-Chi can do this much being an unknown character, if we put those movies in 45 days theatrical window.
And I think, like you said, I mean, it really does come down to the quality. And these movies are good movies. We've rated them highly, and they are worth the trip to the theater. And I think Disney's understanding now the way to cash in on this cow is to have them in the theater for the 45 days and then recoup all the video on demand from the people who are just too stubborn to get out to the theater. But I think it's a good move on Disney's part to at least commit. This was the final, and as you can see in terms of the box office numbers, the final studio that theaters were hoping for to say we're going to distribute through theaters exclusively for a certain window. And so many of the theater owners were holding out for Disney, and now you have that answer. And it looks like, obviously, theater owners are going to benefit as well as, Disney. Disney's going to benefit.
I'm just looking at these numbers, and I can't believe, after seeing Malignant, I can't believe that even the new Candyman is lower than that. It's number 4.
Well...
And I understand I've heard that's not a good one either.
It's had some mixed reviews.
But it can't.
Well, but
I still don't
was
think
stellar in terms of its
been,
release. And I think most of I think you're seeing Shang-Chi is kind of the first trend breaker with regard to the post COVID numbers with theaters, where it kind of I think they stated in the article there it was the least amount of drop from week to week.
Yeah.
As far as its opening weekend and its second weekend, it was like a 53% drop, which they said was amazing.
Negative 53.
Yeah.
Whereas with I think it was Candyman and even like Black Widow and Jungle Cruise.
Candyman was a negative 53 also.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Free
wow.
Guy was negative 35.
This would have been, I think,
actually.
Candyman's like third or fourth week though.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So, yeah, that's right. What was it? I wonder what
its release was when we were at the lake. Is when
and
it was
I was gonna
released.
say, I wonder what its second week drop was, because I think it was pretty substantial. Because they said that Shang-Chi's so far been the best one
as
week
far
to
as
week. With as far as its performance, and it's really surprised them. But the fact that Free Guy has hung in there now in the top 5,
And, I mean, it is, again.
and it's been out for the last month.
You make good movies and people want to see them and they have no choice, they're going to go back to the theater. I mean, yes, you're always going to have the people that are too terrified to go back out, but they're not going anywhere anyways.
Well, I think-
it's like,
I think
you
it
can't-
Shang-Chi and Free
proves-
Guy are two movies that I would go see again. I mean,
Yeah.
I would go see them with somebody that hasn't seen them. I'd love to see those
Sean
movies twice.
even mentioned last week, he said that he forgot that Shang-Chi did have the 45-day window because he was trying to get access to a screener and couldn't. So,
Yep.
yeah, he wanted to watch it again.
wanna
Next
see it
time,
again.
I'll put the Red Moon, header on
use
there.
our password.
Yeah.
to log into our
Exactly.
account.
Yeah.
It is funny. I mean, we have all these streaming versus theatrical releases and people concerned about how they're making their money. And there used to be someone who was a big advocate of that theatrical window. I do find this funny that how he's changed. And I know the reason why, but he no longer is worried about only being in theaters. He's okay with his movie going to streaming now. Dennis Villanueva. I was about to say Vanilla. Dennis Vanilla. Dennis Villanueva.
Dennis Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. No,
Dennis Villanueva-
he's okay with Dune having a theatrical and streaming, but I do think it's funny that he said that now after about a month ago he had come out and said that Warner Brothers assured him that low box office returns would not have an impact on him getting to make the sequel. So now that he knows he's pretty much
I love his
sure to
change
get a
of tune.
sequel, he's like, oh. But yeah, it is funny how now he's in line.
We're not fighting the theaters. We're fighting the pandemic.
Yes.
And here's the thing, bravo. But again, it's funny because I'm like, just like we explained with
He
the
fell in
Disney
line.
scenario, there's yeah, exactly. He fell in line.
Well, once he
with
got his
with
assurance that he
higher-ups.
got to do that, he was going to get to do what he wanted to do. He's like, okay, well now I'll spout the mantra.
Well, but it's
I'm assured I can do what I want, so we'll go team.
yeah. But I love too that it's just like so much of this is in the minds of the public, and again the fear mongering that has gone on. I mean, you see now with now. Granted, I understand that when audiences were at the prime rate that they were back in 2019, we were seeing way bigger, rakes of cash coming in week to week with new movie releases and the big blockbusters. But with this one in particular, I understand how upset he was mainly with regards to whether it was going to affect the sequels, but also the bottom line of the people who were in the film. That was the argument with HBO Max and Warner Brothers in the beginning anyway. But it's funny because it's like him saying, well, we're fighting the pandemic, and even he made the comment. He said, there's a vaccine available now.
Yeah.
And I think it's beginning to creep up in people's mind. We got to get back to normal. We can't live in this constant state of fear. And you have those like Disney who are raking in the dough with 80% of the box office numbers, and you got to have somebody else coming in there saying, hey, we want a cut of the pie. And people are obviously willing to go to the theater.
But now he's okay with it being HBO Max and theaters because he's like, hey, as long as I get what I want, then yeah.
But is that also not Warner Brothers admitting to some degree that they're seeing the returns that they would hope to see with regard to the theater releases?
I think part of it, I think they're still getting the returns that they kind of wanted, and that because they've already made that commitment to every movie, they don't want to backtrack and anger people again. So they're like, we're just going to stay committed throughout this year, because they already announced next year they're doing the same thing Disney's doing, having a brief
45-day
window, and then go to streaming. And it's like, so they're like, we'll just ride out the rest of this year with what we already promised people, and then change course at the start of next year.
Now, do you think they're going to lose subscribers when they switch over to that? Because right now people have signed up for HBO Max under the impression that they're going to get these movies the same day, and now that they don't, there's a 45-day window.
They might.
You think they'll lose a bunch?
I don't think so. Only because I'm subscribed because I have a year free subscription anyway.
Well, I do too. I get it
And-
through AT&T.
Yeah.
It's like a lifetime as long as I have
See,
AT&T.
mine's only for a year.
Oh
I
no,
only
as
get it
long
for a
as you
year.
have AT&T, you get HBO Max.
Oh, wait a sec. Oh, yeah, I do have.
It's lifetime.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
I'm not canceling mine either because.
But for those
free,
who are
so.
paying $15 a month to see, Godzilla versus Kong the day it comes out, and if that's going to be taken off the table, is watching Game of Thrones for the third time enough to keep
the fact that these movies are going to come to streaming like after that theatrical window, I think that it might not keep everybody who wants it same day, but I do think a lot of people will still stay on board to do that. I
think you're going to have people who either cut off and then find a coupon for a 30-day trial, and then they just sign up to watch the movie.
You'll always have those people. Yeah, I think that's likely too. That they know those movies are only on there for 30 days, and then they pulled for whatever amount of time before putting.
I could
back
see
on
them
there.
pushing forward, which I think they already have it because we brought it up on the show before, like an ad-supported tier. So it's like,
but those movies don't go to only. The premium gets the theatrical
That's right.
movies.
Well, and even then, I still don't see it really dropping. I think Warner Brothers and HBO have to be in the long game here because I think their strength is one on their catalog, but they don't have near an expansive catalog as say Disney.
No,
or it's not as the audience isn't as wide reaching.
I think they do, but again, they don't have the same nostalgia factor Disney has, and they also don't have
towards adults,
and they also don't have the same amount of. It's like they have a back catalog. But not as much of it's on HBO Max as Disney has on Disney+.
But the reason why people subscribe to HBO, the channel, I think, was for the amount of premium content. And I do think that's a roadmap that HBO, or at least Warner Brothers, has always had in mind. And I don't think that's hurting anytime soon. I think, again, the onus on any of these streaming services is going to be, just like with Apple TV, I have it now because of a deal with PlayStation. I have
it, yeah.
And I've got it free for 6 months.
Till
I'm
February.
watching Ted Lasso, and I love it. It's good. I watch the morning show.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, it's priced at a point that I think is worthwhile, but it's on the service to continue to provide content that's worth me tuning in.
Honestly, it's only $6 a month. I'd be happy to pay that as long as I know there's going to be something.
Prices. Did you see that?
Yeah, they raised it $1.
$1, yeah.
I when I got on the other night, like as soon as I clicked on my name, it popped up and said your price is like yeah. Now it's the same.
But again, I think this is the problem. Like someone like Hulu, as stuff gets pilfered out to the actual specific studios that own them, that own the content. Does Hulu become kind of non-existent in the future? Same with Netflix. Netflix is still reliant on a lot of third-party content, and yet when they come up with their originals, even their originals don't. As much as I like them, if they can't compete with the originals of other things or the back catalog, for instance,
they keep
of other
canceling them.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, they have good series that they just cancel.
Hulu lucks out in the fact that it's now owned by Disney, so all of their adult, like the stuff that they won't put on Disney Plus because they only want family oriented on there, is now going to Hulu, and then you have the fact that you can bundle Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu all together.
Yeah,
I think that helps Hulu a lot.
True,
keeping it alive, but. I agree. Yeah, if you don't have the content, because it was funny for the longest time, Hulu was my go-to, and I didn't touch Netflix forever. And here lately, Netflix has actually had quite a string of, even if it's not original content, they've had deals to get some decent movies like Hunt for the Wilder People. So I'm like, I've actually been going back to Netflix and using it more again because there's more on there.
And that's the funny thing about it is we're seeing
around to where the content is.
Yeah, exactly. And you're seeing the pieces move. I mean, it's like you're seeing everything kind of set in place. Whether it's original content or even a back catalog of things that interest people that's already made.
I haven't touched Amazon Prime, and I don't know since The Boys.
The Boys ended and Jack Ryan ended, and I haven't not ended, but there's nothing new.
Yeah,
and I probably won't touch it again until next year when The Boys season 3
Although it
comes
is funny because there are times where I've looked up a random movie that I want to watch, and it happens to be on
Amazon.
Yeah, and that is one reason that I'll watch it.
I'm paying that Prime membership for something. I don't get 2-day shipping anymore, so I guess their streaming service, I guess, is all I get. I mean,
and music you're not going to listen to.
That I'm not going to listen to. Yeah.
Well, again, I get my music through Apple, and it's bundled with my cell service.
Yeah.
It's like
what am I paying you for now, Amazon? Like you're
that
for
private
Jeff
yacht.
Bezos to go to the
go
to space.
Yeah, come on, Blue Horizon.
And you can't even do that right. That's why NASA's going with SpaceX because they know who the better engineer is.
I watched that interview afterwards or whatever with him in that cowboy hat on, and I'm just like, who do you think you are, dude? You're from
He's
Oregon.
Dr. Evil.
Well, I just think it's funny because it's like I see him in that cowboy hat. And I was like, I was like, is this a troll? Is he just trying to be a
I'm a
prick?
space cowboy now.
I think that's just him. He's just a legitimate prick.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Jeff
then
Bezos
then
is.
to like the snide comment of, I want to thank every Amazon customer.
Yeah.
because you made it
you paid for
possible.
me to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly like I just said. Yeah.
It's like, thank you for paying for me to go to space. Yeah. And again, I have nothing against private companies doing that because I think that is how we innovate and get to space. I just think Jeff Bezos. I'm fine with it because it'll make it cheaper, but I don't think he's doing it for those. He's not doing it for
He's
the.
not helping
no.
his PR.
Yeah.
He's not helping his public persona.
His reasons for doing that are selfish reasons. Yes, it may help everyone out in the long run, but they are completely selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, I think we're ready to move on to
Yes,
our
let's
unique
please.
weekly segment. We've got a lot to talk about.
Wait, you're not going to talk about
no,
Jennifer Lawrence being pregnant?
I didn't want to mention her name. Don't even want to talk about
we
it.
replaced that headline
With
Norm Macdonald.
It's still out here. Okay.
know.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's way better.
I don't need. I have a lower third for it. It doesn't even need to come up.
Okay.
I don't care. It's.
I didn't even know.
Jennifer Lawrence is pregnant. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares?
Here's the thing. I didn't even know she was married. I thought she was still with Darren Aronofsky. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of what I thought when I saw the head. I was like, whose
She's like-
baby is it?
Like she said, he was pregnant. And I was like, oh, did her and Darren have a baby? And then she's married to some other guy. And I was like, oh, I didn't
Who's
even know
he?
that
I've
happened.
never even heard of that.
Yeah.
No.
It happened while she was off saving the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
She took the year off from filming. Okay,
Right.
we're talking about it.
Now,
We're talking about it.
Well, now
okay.
we get to
This
see
is
her
awful.
and Leo save the world from a meteor, which I don't care
Yeah.
to see.
Don't even care to see that.
Nope.
That's
So
a
you're-
Netflix.
You're not going to
original.
look up, or you're
Nope.
not going to look at it at all.
Nope.
I'll watch
I'm
it
not gonna
because
watch
I'm
it.
yeah,
sure
I'll watch
it's Adam McKay, and I'm sure it'll probably get awards hype because it's Adam McKay. But
Yeah.
I just
Because all I need is another picture of
Yes.
more celebrities in a movie saying,
Beat
so
me
this
over the
is
head."
this and this is this, and you don't understand it because, well, it's above all our pay grades.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm Adam McKay. I'm creative. I'm a genius.
he's like, I'm going to beat you over the head with my morals, and you're just going to deal with it.
Yeah.
He has one style. Adam McKay just
No, he has two because he can do the comedy. It's like he has his serious
That's
movie
true.
style, and
That's
then he
true.
has his
Yeah.
the other guys, which was actually I wish he would go back to
That
that
is
was
a-
hilarious.
I wish
a great
he,
movie.
That's
he
a
did,
great
he did
movie.
Anchorman, he did the other guys. It's like go back to that.
Yes.
It's like I liked you when you did that.
Yeah.
Yep. Stop trying to give us like you don't. Never mind. I'm just gonna
All right,
go under
sorry.
a rant.
We're done. Let's get the Let's,
Yeah.
Unique weekly segment.
let's
All right.
complain about Apple now.
Here is our multimedia segment.
Multimedia.
Multimedia.
Multimedia. Yes, as you just said.
What, you sloth from the Goonies?
Gabriel, stop.
Joe Biden. Gabriel.
Go back in the head. Go back in the head.
Hey, you guys.
Yes. If it would have done that, it would have been a good movie.
I wish.
If it would have ripped their head off and said, "Hey, you guys."
If-
We
when
can
it-
re-edit it.
When it popped out in the jail, and as soon as it pops out, it goes, "Hey, you guys!" I'm like, "This is a great movie." Oh.
Okay. All right. What is this?
This is all right. We're kind of talking about a
Well,
few
it's
different
not
things.
us reviewing The Chosen again, so
No,
Yeah, I'm 2 episodes in on that. By the way, it's good.
it is good.
It's
See,
good.
okay, that
Very well done. Very well done.
Next multimedia.
we
segment.
just need to.
We'll
next
talk about
month
it.
we just need
Yeah.
to. We need to actually.
How many episodes are in
It's not a
season
lot.
one?
There's not. Yeah, I don't even. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I know they only drop one when they can afford it. So
Yeah.
it's. But
I think-
it
they're on
is
like season 3.
It is well.
I thought they were doing season 2 now. I didn't even think they.
no,
had gotten
season
Yeah, I
two
don't
is
know.
fully funded.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't
I'm
think
almost
it had
certain
released
they're-
yet.
We've only gotten through 2 episodes so far.
I'm gonna
but
Google it right
it's
now.
good.
yeah. Google it up.
Multimedia though. What
All
are
right,
we talking about?
multimedia. We're talking about. It's rare when we do a multimedia segment that we actually fall on the same day as an Apple keynote or any big
or
keynote.
any big
So I figured,
tech.
why not? Let's just talk about it. Apple's new gizmos and gadgets.
They're the
got some
same as
new
their
stuff.
old gizmos and gadgets. There we go.
They have been since Steve
No,
Jobs
we
died.
can get into it though.
But no, the Apple Watch.
Who needs to
The
innovate?
watch
when-
and the tag.
Yes,
and that's it.
That's yeah.
they're not.
That's their big innovations.
They're not as bad as Microsoft, but as far as innovating, I feel they have gotten that bad in the fact that it's like people are already buying our products. Who cares what we do now?
Does Johnny Ive still work for Apple?
No, he has an independent firm.
Oh, okay.
He still does.
I wish he
designs,
still worked for Apple,
but it's like a private contract.
Okay.
Maybe if they had handed Apple over to him instead of Tim Cook, we'd be better off. But who knows?
I don't know.
I don't know. He's not.
Here's the thing. I'm mad at Apple because they don't innovate in the way I want them to, as I thought Steve Jobs did. I mean, again, people don't know they want it till you show it to them.
I knew it was going to.
Cook is an amazing businessman. That's the reason why he was put in charge.
Yes, he is a great businessman.
He's made them the most, lucrative company in the world.
Yeah.
In history. So it's like
He's definitely riding the coattails, I think.
You can say that, but I mean, their biggest successes have become after Steve Jobs.
I don't think he's riding the. He is like as far as innovate. He don't need to innovate, but he knows how to make the money, and that's the thing. It's like he knows how to shell out the same schlock.
He's got a playbook that Steve Jobs wrote and died, and gave him the playbook.
I don't think so much that. I think if he had a playbook, Steve Jobs would have
secret playbook.
I'm picturing the water boy when he's standing there in the high heels.
Steve Jobs would have literally
stole my playbook.
Number one in the playbook would have been Steve Jobs. Don't release shit. So
yeah.
I think Tim Cook knows how to make money.
But it's 30% better shit.
Yeah. Tim Cook knows that the products they have are better than almost. They're better than the competition.
Yeah.
And that's all he cares about. As long as they could stay ahead of the competition and make money, he's fine. Because he even said that in the keynote. He even made the statement that the chips. He said. With the A15 Bionic, he's like, our competitors are still trying to catch up with our chips. And it's like, that may be true, but you're not doing much with these chips because iPhone 13, yes, it's more powerful. It has a better camera. It's
well, again,
iPhone 11.
I'm not going to complain about
it.
Well, the one line that kills me in these keynotes every year is, this is the best iPhone we've ever made. I'm like,
because it's
I would hope
we're not going to make a worse one than last year.
And I'm like, every time they say that,
every time.
I'm just like, why do you have to say that? It's got to become an inside joke over there.
Yeah.
Because they have to know they have to put that line in there. But it's like it used to be these huge leaps and bound jumps that we would see year to year.
Yeah.
And even back in the day when you had the Plus versions, or the S versions of the phones,
right, yeah.
we at least knew it was kind of an incremental upgrade. But now they don't even have that. They just go full numbers. And I'm like,
well, now you have the Pro and the Max and the E and the SE and the Mini,
but all of them have the same, almost basically the same internals.
I know.
They're upgraded internals year to year, but the upgrades are incremental.
Again, that's I think a part of Tim Cook being the smart businessman. It's like that's something I don't think Steve Jobs would have done. Is had 5 different variations of an iPhone.
No,
Tim Cook was like, oh, if we offer this for this group and this phone for this group, he knows how to. The cheap small phone for those who just want. He knows
Jobs
how to.
Was only the premium.
Yeah,
it was only premium for him.
Or he didn't diversify it so much that it was you
might have had the two. You would have like the 11, and like the Pro. It's like you would have had maybe that, but it wouldn't have been the
11
SE
Pro Max, the SE.
Yeah.
And again, I think you're right. It's like he's found ways in which but ingenious in terms of business. They find how to get every single bit of the market that they want to capture in every single scenario. Mm-hmm. And they do a great job of this in all of their research. It's masterful. I can't complain.
So much.
It just sucks for the old fans of every time there was a keynote we got excited. And again, the excitement we had when the original iPhone launched, it was completely unexpected.
I used to never.
There was nothing like it on the market.
I used to never keep my phone longer than 2 years, and this year I'm not. I still have the 11 Pro Max. I'm not getting a 13. I'll wait till the 14 next year.
And
I may not even get it then. It depends on what they say. Sure.
I'm literally upgrading my watch to the latest one because I have a Series 3 and the Series 7. It's a bigger screen, and I know it's going to be faster, but that's the main thing.
It's a leap that's worth the money.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely. But
even an article I read, they specifically pointed that out. They were talking about how the fact that it's the same price point, all the iPhones in this new generation stayed the same price point. If you were in the market to buy a new phone, you're just going to get the new model instead of last year's, which is now $100 cheaper.
Yeah.
It's genius. It's like, okay, well, you're going to make your money back tenfold because you're going to get the
And
newest
that's
model
exactly
for those
the
who
thing.
wanted to upgrade.
Instead of feeling like I need to upgrade like I did when Steve Jobs was around, it's like, oh, I have to have that. That looks amazing. Now it's like, well, when mine gets so old that it no longer works well, I'll upgrade to the latest model.
Yeah.
Like my iPad. I'm not ready yet, but in a couple of years, because it's already bogging down, I'll buy a new one. It'll be the latest
that's my
model.
watch.
I'll buy a new one when it's the latest model, and then I won't upgrade it again for another 10 years.
Yeah. Well, but again, it used to be that the longevity of the Apple devices were meant to last that long, but you wanted to upgrade sooner because a new feature or a new piece of technology made it so worthwhile. And I think again, I don't complain because Apple, they definitely have some failings in terms of even the way it doesn't just work sometimes.
Yeah.
But
It
their
used to.
quality, I think, is much better than the competition, no doubt. It is getting stiff competition, but even they are not shooting far and above. They're just trying to meet Apple. Apple, the problem is it's not that they make crap, it's just they don't have the wow factor anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me
Well,
off, is
even-
it used to be the wow factor every time a new device came out.
Even without the wow factor, I'd be happy if, like you said, it just worked. If everything they came out with and implemented that was new actually synced and worked the way it was supposed to, I'd be giddy because that's how it used to be. But now it's like, like my iPad.
I think it does if you buy everything new.
Yes.
If
'Cause
you buy
Yes.
the new MacBook and the new watch and the new iPad and the new phone, it will all work together. But it's when you got an iPhone 12 and a 4-year-old MacBook
Yes.
and a 2-year-old watch, that's when it doesn't work.
And I do agree with that because my phone, my iMac, and my watch all sync perfectly. You know what doesn't ever sync right? My iPad that's 7 years old.
Well, and
If
it's
I
funny,
upgraded,
but
it
that's,
would.
and that's what they want you to do. They want you to upgrade because once you're in the ecosystem, you have to upgrade.
it'll work.
Yeah.
ever so often.
like-
You can't wait that long. Whereas before it used to be you wanted to, now you almost have to because they cripple you. And no better, we found that out whenever they did the battery gate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they're draining the battery at an alarming rate. And of course they come out, we're sorry, that was our fault. We'll be transparent. And it's like only because we found out.
My watch is doing it. I mean, it's at 10% right now. I actually just got the low power
Oh,
alert.
wow.
It was
Really?
at 100% this morning when I took it off the charger. By the time I got to work, it was at 96%. So it lost 4%
But you have
battery.
a Series 4, right?
It's a Series 4, yeah.
I have a Series 3 and mine's
Yeah.
at 57%.
It does not stay charged at all.
Yeah, mine
What do
stays.
you have? What are you tracking? Oh my gosh!
I say
That-
mine's
that's
53.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mine's 57 right now.
Yep.
That's
I have
insane.
no idea.
Wow.
Been
Sometimes,
doing it
yeah.
for months.
Sometimes I don't even charge. Like I'll fall asleep with mine on and then charge it
So
the
it's
next day, and it still
6%
goes.
right now.
See, I wonder if maybe it could be just a malfunctioning battery, unless
I
you're
don't know.
tracking something that
You can't change
in the background.
You can't change the battery. You have to take it to Apple and have them tear it apart and charge you
Yeah.
$300 to change it.
Well, yeah,
It's $250, I think.
and of course now
for a battery.
there's other little incremental changes they made in terms of expanding like Apple Care Plus to products that have already been purchased, and there have been improvements that I'm like, okay, that is Apple-esque, and there have been things that have come out that I'm thinking, okay, that's Apple-esque, but there's never the oh my gosh. I mean, it's more what I expect than before, where it was. I wasn't expecting that, and they delivered.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many years since the iPhone 10 where we're going to get the notchless display. We're gonna, which this
Yeah.
year they just shrunk it.
yeah.
It
That's
still
all
looks
they
like
did.
crap.
It's
Yeah.
still a
They
big
didn't even
ugly
shrink
notch.
it that much.
No,
They're like, it's going to be much smaller, and I looked at it. It's like that ain't that much smaller.
it's actually taller.
yeah.
If they show you in the pictures, it's actually taller than the old one because they slimmed it down. They shrunk it in,
But they made it fatter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it's just a little
really
bit
stupid. It annoys me. I'm like, that's still ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What pissed me off with the 12 when they went back to the same aesthetic design as the iPhone 4. Like
Yeah.
they went back to the glass, the glass front and back. Well, it's not
Yeah.
glass, but
It is. I think
yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
polished.
It
It's
is. But they
polished.
went back to the
And then
like
the flat-
squared off the flat
Yeah,
edges.
Yep.
mine's
which is
the
just
11
like
and
the
has
iPhone
the rounded.
4.
Yep.
Yeah. And I love the design of my
Yes.
iPhone 8. Like that was a beautiful phone.
I was gonna say,
These just aren't. It's not sexy anymore.
I really
It's not.
love this, and I don't look forward to updating it into being the boxy design. What I don't love about it is when I lay it flat, though, on its back.
Yes,
The
that,
freaking
that-
camera.
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. That's one
Wobble.
design that I'm
It's
sorry.
all over that.
Yep.
Regardless of how big the screen is, and people I know were saying, oh, Steve Jobs would turn over in his grave after they came out with the bigger screen, because he didn't want a big phone. And I'm like, no, I've grown to like the bigger phone.
I think he would have gone.
I think he would have
eventually,
caved eventually, but I do think he would have forced them to innovate with regards to the cameras.
Oh yeah,
because no matter how great they are, the fact that we've been on now at least 5 generations where the camera has stuck out of the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I don't think he would have put up with that.
Yeah.
I think he would have found a way.
The
to,
Samsungs, they all do the same thing.
They do,
but they actually.
I think Steve Jobs would.
Some of them actually have.
And they're ugly. They're ugly too.
They are, but some of them have a notch at the bottom of the phone so that when you do set it down, it still sets flush.
Yeah.
And it just adds kind of like a grip for your hand, your finger on the bottom. But yeah, again, it's nothing new.
I was just saying, I agree with Brand. I think Steve Jobs would have been like, no, I'm not accepting that. Go back and figure out how to make it right. Because that's just how he was.
And again, I think it would have, I don't think it would have been the first or second gen, but I think he would have not let it have dragged on as long as it has without a significant upgrade.
Also, the camera has been at 12 megapixels for 3 or 4 iPhones now.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, the only one that was 8 was the first one and the 3G, and then I think they bumped up to the iPhone 4 might have been 12. And that might have been from then on.
That's way back,
they've been 12 megapixels. I want,
24?
Samsung's got freaking 46 megapixels.
Yeah.
Where you can, pinch and zoom in. You don't even need optical zoom.
What have they done what was the moon test or whatever I've seen when they shoot the live, or I think it's not even, it's just the optical or the versus their software zoom that they use, and people, which granted I think it's fake because I've seen the videos and I'm like, there's no way it looks that good. When they zoom into the moon.
But if you take a 46 megapixel picture and hold it up next to a 12 and try to zoom in, you're going to get a way better crop.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're calling it digital zoom, but it's just cropping in on all those megapixels.
But I mean, again, it's like, I think that there have been innovations to a degree that Apple has made, but it hasn't shown across. I mean, even I do think the huge deal with the MacBooks going from Intel to their own processors.
Yeah.
And I do think that will lead to advantages in the future, especially with the hardware and software on an actual computer and PC that we don't get with the iPhone and the iPad. Because for so long, they've tried to shoehorn, again, and I've always appreciated them saying, no, these are 2 separate devices. Because I'll be honest, it's like processing power or not, no, I can't edit a freaking comfortably on an iPad like I can a MacBook or an iMac.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not the same.
Now, if your MacBook craps out, you have to get a whole new one because they can't replace anything internally. It's
True.
all fused
It's
to
all,
the board.
it's all soldered together. Yeah. But I don't know. I take the good and the bad. I still appreciate the quality that Apple is. I just feel like they've rested on their laurels for too long, and the innovations they have made have not been as amazing as they once used to be. I'm not saying their best days are behind them, but they certainly aren't right now. But another thing we could talk about real quick, I know we're all excited about, is that PS5 upgrade.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
We're getting it tomorrow.
I mean, actually, I mean, they're not not big, but I was looking at some of like the
it's got a whole UI change. Yeah,
I like the upgrades they've done to that. I'm actually really fond of what you can do with like the game cards and how you can actually now get rid of the ones you don't want or adjust what you.
Yes, you can reorganize the icons at the bottom.
They're also going to have 3D audio.
Yes,
for your sound system. That's awesome.
I like the fact that now like you can actually within like you just pull up the cards in the game or whatever, you can message and whatever with the people. Like that's a lot easier. I do like what they're doing, but the biggest one obviously is to be able to add that SSD hard drive now to your PlayStation.
Sean, you've already got your prep.
He's ready. He's
ready to go.
I have the drive and a heatsink, and as soon as I get home tonight, it's going to be installed.
Nice.
And then tomorrow when they push it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
I'll have to use the new updated firmware to format the drive, and then it'll be ready for expanded storage.
So. I ain't gonna lie, I do hate that when companies are like, it's available tomorrow, but probably not till like noon. And I'm just like, damn, give it to me at midnight.
It's usually based on like California time.
Yeah.
So
but even then,
it's like 4 o'clock our time.
But it still pisses me off because I'm like, it's a freaking update. Just push it at midnight.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Now their updates are usually at
because they do the
1
same with
PM
the PlayStation Store
or Pacific time, so it should be like 4.
Yeah. So I'll get it when I get home from work.
Yeah,
I'll try it out.
I won't be upgrading my hard drive yet, but I do want to do that.
Well, and I think the cool thing about this is, and Sean, you kind of alluded to it when we were talking about it in our text this afternoon, and that was, it's like, I like the fact that they did go this path because it's using PC hardware that's going to just push these drives to get cheaper, or at least even for probably some manufacturers to come out with SSDs that are made for the PS5. They're branded for it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think those are going to be the ones
I have
that
no doubt
people-
Sony will make one.
Oh, no doubt.
They will.
Yeah.
They have it for the PS4. So
Yep.
I mean, Xbox has them branded for the Xbox. So it's like, yeah.
But Xbox is now the Series X anyway is they have the
It has a card.
they have the card
Yeah.
that came out day one, but it's not like you can't use that in anything else.
No, it's proprietary.
It's
yeah.
proprietary.
It is.
So I do like the fact that Sony went the route of not being
No, I do.
proprietary.
I agree that
I think it's going to
You can use any of them,
I was
yes.
gonna say I think it's going to create the market for it
because with the
and open it up.
with the One X, you could use like almost any hard drive, but then they went backwards and said, we're going to make proprietary for Series X.
Yeah.
So.
But with the PlayStation, let's say your internal drive fails, you can replace that with a 4 terabyte drive.
Yeah.
Can you
And-
though? I thought those were soldered. I thought the internal drive was soldered.
I don't think so.
Or no, I think that
You
was
can
the
change it.
update. I think that was part of the one that is now slimmer. I think the NVMe is soldered on.
Oh, see, that's not good.
I don't think it's.
yeah.
I don't think it.
No.
I may be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. But I think in the one that is now being manufactured, that has like they
The one
trim
that
down
runs
the heat
hotter?
sink.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they soldered the NVMe onto the board.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that.
I'm
I may be
glad
wrong.
I got a
don't know.
launch model. I mean, I know they said that it running hotter doesn't affect anything, but I'm like, I prefer to know that mine runs cooler.
True.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
the original was over-engineered," it's okay to run that hot. I'm like, that's cool, but I'm glad mine's
Yeah,
Mine's
over-engineered.
running a little less.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
can play a little longer.
Yeah. And I told Keith this. I said, it's going to drive, the industry, the industry as far as SSDs. It's going to drive it into them being more accessible.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's going to be good just in general because I have my PS4, my original PS4 that I got on launch day from, was it 2013? Was it when it came out?
Yeah.
So, and it's run fine. And I put the ones at the times were like the laptop hard disk drives. So they don't run nearly as fast, but it's sitting in there and it's running fine.
Yeah.
And so I don't think I will probably upgrade my PS5 even
remember-
if they do a PS5 Pro.
I remember in high school getting a 32 gigabyte like flash drive and thinking, this is massive. That's
Yeah.
32 gigabytes. And
Right.
here we are now. We were talking about before the show how mad I am that Apple still can't even with the iPad at 64 gigs.
Yeah.
It's like, look, as technology advances and there's more of a demand for higher storage, it does become cheaper. And the fact that you can get higher storage a lot cheaper now. I can get a 32 gigabyte hard drive now for the price of something that would have been.
I mean, dude, you
Yeah.
could go to
Yeah. I mean, that
I
little
go to
thumb
the-
drive that I bring to the lake is 32
Yeah.
gigabytes,
Yeah.
and it was $20 at
I'm
Walmart.
saying,
Yeah.
you can get a
I
dirt
mean,
cheap.
you just go to like some kind of anywhere that's having like a rally or they give you a swag bag and there's going to be
Yeah,
a 32
free.
gig flash
free,
drive.
yeah.
Free.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no
Go
reason.
to the bank; they'll give you a free
And
flash
I'm
drive.
excited because now, like you said, I may not update right now, but by the time I do update, hard drive should be,
They'll be
cheaper for it.
Yeah, I kind of bit the bullet and went right now just because I've had to delete so many games.
Yep.
And I hate that, but the
Yes.
fact that I'm gonna have a full terabyte, not half of it.
Yeah.
I'm
True.
gonna have a full terabyte plus what comes on it to install my PS4 games that have been updated. There's 3 or 4 games that I've already pre-ordered. Death Stranding comes out at the end of the month that I'm gonna get, and I want that to be on the PS5 drive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not to mention the drives that you can buy right now. There's 3 of them that outperform the drive that came in your PS5.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can add that storage in it, and
It'll be
there's
faster,
YouTube
too.
videos
See?
that show the loading times are even faster than on the internal drive.
And it's funny because
So-
that's making me think too that even the PS5 is going to not right now while it's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, no,
But there's a reason for them to drop the price because obviously when we bought the PS5 a year ago and it was this newer technology that wasn't widely available, obviously now even that is becoming, it's becoming routine.
Yeah.
So the fact is I really do see maybe even a price cut for the PS5.
I don't know because of the manufacturing.
Well, I was going to
issues.
say I don't think within the next year
Yeah,
they're
not
going to
this Christmas,
because
no.
there's so many people who want it and the demand is still there. It's like why would you?
Well, and
cut
they're
the
still
price?
struggling to get them out. I mean, they have started to ramp up production a little bit, and it's more available in I think Japan and Europe, but it's still not that available in America.
Well, that's the thing.
Yet.
If the demand is still there, you'd be an idiot to cut the price.
Yeah,
because people want to buy it regardless. But I do think that's why I think the SSDs are going to come down. And come out more rapidly, especially with the speeds that people want for the PS5.
As people are able to buy it now, I mean, they still can't right this minute, but I mean, as it becomes more available and more people can buy it, that's more incentive to produce SSDs and drop the price, because it's like, oh, they're going to buy a PlayStation, they're immediately going to enhance the storage, so let's get these out so we can make more money.
Yeah, right now there's only 4. There's Sabrent, Western Digital, Seagate, and Samsung. Those are the only 4 drives that meet the requirements.
Yeah.
But
which
when Crucial makes one and when PNY makes one, PNY is going to be the cheapest one on the market when they actually produce one that meets the
only
criteria.
thing here that I think it's a little, I'm willing to shell out a little bit more money for the security that I know it's like you even said the Sabrent drive that you bought is like a 10-year warranty.
Yes.
And that at least somewhat gives me a little comfort that I'm like, okay, I don't want this game, like all my stuff to be on here. Like I hope like game saves and stuff, I still want on the internal.
Yeah.
And of course I have it backed up on the cloud through PS Plus anyway.
Cloud.
But it is still one of those things where, and I don't deal with the same issue you do, Sean, where it's like, it's actually not that inconvenient for me to delete games because I do have a fast enough internet speed where I'm just like, I'll download it and in an hour it'll be there.
Yeah.
Granted, it's not as fast as transferring from a drive within the system.
Yeah.
But I agree. It's like right now, for the while the prices are still high on the SSDs, I'm willing to kind of delete, reserve some storage. But like you said, when it came out, I had like 600 gigs on the system. Available.
Yeah, I think
it was ridiculous.
It's 650.
It wasn't an 825 gigabytes.
It was like 680 something.
Oh,
688
maybe
or something.
Yeah,
but
it's
an 825 gig, but only 680 of it was usable. So.
So I'm definitely looking forward to increasing
with your
my
expansion. If you go 1 terabyte, you're gaining 400. You're gaining 400 gigs.
Yeah,
which I mean, unless you're only filling the drive up with Call of Duty, that's the only
like
game over 100 gigabytes right now.
Yeah.
I think Grand Theft Auto, when it comes out, it's going to be huge.
I'm sure.
I think that one will be.
Actually,
but on average,
even with the PS4, I think it's 100. It's like 110.
When I put
80 or 90.
When I put it on mine, it was 80.
Okay.
The PS4 version.
But yeah,
so
on average,
it was
you
Red
can
Dead.
fit about 15 to 20 normal games on a terabyte.
Red Dead Redemption 2, I think, was like 110.
That one's big too.
Yeah, it was huge.
But if there's no upgrade for that, it's not going on my internal drive.
Yeah,
I can play that game just as fine off my USB drive.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on an extra. I mean, it's all on the actual PS5, and like Brandon said, I just kind of delete and re-download. But it's still an inconvenience.
I've got a 4 terabyte external drive that's just full of the PS4.
Well,
games.
and it makes sense because it's like if you can play them off there and you have a fast enough read speed, because obviously those drives are not anything what the PS4 could read at anyway. The games are developed to read at the PS4 speeds.
Yeah.
Even with the enhancement of I mean, there are some games that I enjoy the faster loading time. Skyrim being on the PS5 internal drive is amazing.
I have that on the PS5 because it is.
It actually got me back into the game just because of how
you didn't
quick.
have to wait.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
There's because I'll get on my phone like when the load screen comes up. And then I immediately have to put it down because before
I don't have to wait.
It's like I don't have to because I will. And I'll go to load. And I'll pick my phone up and look
I'll
at
read
something.
2 news articles while I
exactly.
leave this building.
And then as soon as
I open the door, so I got to wait 2 minutes.
By the time I got my phone unlocked, it's already loaded. I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Yep.
So all good things coming. That was a good multimedia segment.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
Isn't it amazing though how one little firmware update can get you more excited than an entire Apple keynote?
Yeah.
Oh.
It used to not be that way. I used
not.
to freaking call into work to sit at home and watch a keynote.
I would. Oh, I pull it up at work. I would. I'd pull it up.
I couldn't do that, so I would just be like, I'm sick today.
Yeah.
And I would sit at home and watch freaking Apple's keynote.
Well, I love that when I told you all what the multimedia segment was, you were just like, they're announcing something today?
I didn't even know.
Yeah, no clue. Because it's not that exciting.
I didn't until yesterday when he was like, our multimedia is. I was like, I didn't even know their keynote was tomorrow.
Yeah. It's just become so routine now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not only their keynotes, but what they're going to announce.
It's no longer it's no longer something I anticipate. I was more excited excited about Sony's presser for their game. Like, in fact, I enjoyed that much more than Apple's keynote because at least the upcoming games I'm more interested in.
And like there were certain things, like I think in the it was like a week or two ago when the keynote was announced, or at least it was leaked. Like there were people who were saying, "Oh, but Apple's actually been letting out decoy cases to throw you off," and I was like, "Okay,
maybe there's going to be a
maybe there's
redesign.
something going to be a reveal that I'm not expecting."
They didn't reveal anything.
No, and I'm like, the more and more they always act like they want to take care of any leaks because they're trying to keep everything top notch, and I'm like, nobody gives a shit. I was like, I don't care. I was like, actually release something that people care about, and then maybe we'll be like, oh yeah, glad you protected that.
Yep.
But they just don't. All right, guys. I know I'm gonna go on another 30-minut rant.
I just had to check something real quick.
Was it? Well, Skyrim loaded in that time.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. But you know what you could always do? That old-fashioned way right there at the bottom of your screen. Sean, you can say it first since I know Keith always says it.
It's email?
Yeah.
Email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Oh, that was good.
That was nice.
That was nice. Keith,
I liked it.
Go for it.
Do you know how to...
Hold on. Can I
He's
let me
got to
take
clear
a
his
sip of
throat.
water real quick.
He's got a load.
I did that to the review. I hawked up like a goober right in the mic, so he had to listen to it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't. I skipped right over it.
Email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. You know what else other people could do?
They could get on Facebook,
Wow.
The
Twitter,
social media,
Instagram,
You're saying it.
Parlor. I mean,
Twitch.
Not on there.
I know.
We are on Rumble, but I have not
Here's-
added anything to the
here's the
channel. I
thing.
need to.
I don't mind Parlor, but they have a lot of work they still need to do.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
But let's not
Yeah.
the unfortunate and tragic and very evil circumstance they were put under because
well,
of
no, I
Amazon
understand
Web
completely, but
Services.
they still need to.
Yeah.
They need to.
Their app kind of sucked before.
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
It's
And
not
it's
very
not
well
better
made.
at all.
Yeah.
No.
And I literally have to log in like almost every time I use it.
That's the.
pretty
It's like
terrible.
I'm willing to jump the Facebook ship, but you got to give me something good enough to.
That's Apple sabotaging it, though.
It was all of them.
I'm
And
telling
Amazon.
you,
Apple,
my
Amazon.
Fox News app, that is the only app on my phone
crap.
literally that will crash every time I try to use it. And I don't think it's the app. I think it's sabotaged.
Apple.
I think they're like, we
I
don't,
don't know.
want,
I-
you. We
I
don't want
have
you to
a-
watch this.
I don't know. I think about the people who watch it, and I'm just like, no, they really just know who their audience is, and they're not on the app. They're watching TV,
Yeah.
and that's it. So they probably do not put any R&D into that app.
I don't know. There's a lot of erectile dysfunction ads on there. So it tells you the demographic of who
Yeah.
watches
That's
it
true.
most.
But the Daily
Newsmax
Wire
works
app
good.
is fantastic.
Newsmax works good.
Yeah.
I
Alrighty, guys. Right there at the bottom of your screen, though, we've already talked about it a little bit, just as Keith alluded to. Like, share, subscribe. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Picks, and just search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. to get
Jujulous.
all of our goodness. That's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean, Sebastian.
And
Maligna duty butt floss.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.